I lived in a quiet suburban neighborhood, and there was one house that had always intrigued and puzzled us: the residence of a reclusive neighbor. This neighbor rarely ventured out into the community, and over the years, curiosity about this mysterious individual had grown. Little did I know that my curiosity would lead me to a truly horrifying discovery. One evening, as twilight descended and an eerie stillness filled the air, I noticed an odd glow emanating from the windows of that enigmatic neighbor's house. It was a faint, unsettling green light that flickered and danced like ethereal flames. The sight sent a chill down my spine, but my curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to investigate. With cautious steps, I approached the house and peered through the curtains, half expecting to uncover some logical explanation. What I saw inside, however, shattered any hopes of a rational conclusion. The neighbor's living room was adorned with a multitude of strange, occult symbols etched onto the walls and the floor. In the center of the room, they stood, surrounded by a group of hooded figures, all engaged in an eerie and unsettling ritual. I couldn't discern the specifics of the ritual, but the air felt heavy with an otherworldly energy. The neighbor and the hooded figures chanted in a language I couldn't comprehend, and the eerie green light grew brighter and more malevolent with each passing moment. Terrified and feeling like an unwanted witness to something far beyond my understanding, I quickly retreated and rushed back to my own home. I shared the horrifying discovery with my family, and we collectively reported the incident to the authorities. The ensuing investigation, however, yielded no tangible evidence of wrongdoing, and the mysterious neighbor's sinister activities remained a perplexing enigma. To this day, the memory of that night and the unsettling ritual that unfolded next door haunts me, serving as a constant reminder that there are dark and inexplicable forces lurking just beyond our understanding, even in the most ordinary of neighborhoods. Living in a snug apartment complex had always provided me with a sense of peace and serenity, but that tranquility was abruptly shattered when a new neighbor moved in next door. A neighbor who would go on to disrupt our peaceful existence in the most horrifying way imaginable. From the very first night of their arrival, it was apparent that something was deeply amiss. A cacophony of loud, inexplicable noises would emanate from their apartment at all hours, disturbing our sleep and fraying our nerves. It sounded like a chaotic symphony of banging, shuffling, and eerie whispers that seemed to seep through the walls themselves. Desperate for some semblance of peace, I decided to approach this new neighbor, hoping to address the issue amicably. They apologized profusely, explaining that they had been rearranging furniture. Relieved by their explanation, I thought our troubles were over. However, the disturbances only intensified as the days passed. One evening, while returning home, I happened to glimpse through the partially open door of my neighbor's apartment. What I saw inside was nothing short of a nightmare that would haunt my dreams for years to come. The apartment was in a state of chaotic disarray, with strange symbols scrawled across the walls in what appeared to be blood. In the center of the room lay a grotesque and makeshift altar, adorned with animal bones and candles, arranged in a manner that defied all reason. My neighbor stood there, their eyes glazed over, muttering incomprehensible incantations. Fear gripped my very soul as I backed away slowly, my heart pounding in my chest. I reported my shocking discovery to the authorities, who swiftly arrived at the scene. It was revealed that my neighbor had been conducting disturbing rituals involving animal sacrifices and bizarre chants, and they were promptly arrested. The apartment was declared a crime scene, and our once peaceful complex was forever marred by the horrors that had unfolded next door. Even after all these years, the memories of that night and the malevolent energy that had pervaded our neighbor's apartment continued to haunt me, serving as a chilling reminder of the incomprehensible evil that can lurk so close to home. Our tight-knit suburban community had always taken pride in the strong bonds among neighbors, but the sense of unity and security that we cherished was irrevocably shattered one fateful evening when our neighbor, Maggie, disappeared without a trace. Maggie had been a cheerful woman in her 50s, a beloved member of our neighborhood for years. She was active in community events, always greeting us with a warm smile and a friendly word. So, when she failed to show up for a neighborhood gathering one sunny weekend, concern rippled through our tight-knit community. Worried for her well-being, a group of us decided to visit her home, expecting to find her under the weather or in need of assistance. What we discovered, however, defied all rational explanation. Maggie's house was eerily empty, as though she had simply vanished into thin air. Her car remained in the driveway, and all her personal belongings were intact. There was no sign of struggle or forced entry, leaving us baffled and deeply troubled. We immediately reported Maggie's disappearance to the authorities, who launched an extensive search operation. Flyers with her picture were distributed throughout the neighborhood, and volunteers scoured the area for any clues. Yet, despite our collective efforts, no trace of Maggie was ever found. The sudden and unexplained nature of her disappearance sent shockwaves through our community, leaving us gripped with fear and paranoia. Rumors began to circulate, with some suggesting that Maggie had been abducted by unknown forces, while others believed she had fallen victim to a supernatural entity. Her house, once a place of warmth and camaraderie, now stood as a chilling reminder of the inexplicable horrors that can lurk right next door, hidden from plain sight, and the questions surrounding her fate continue to haunt our neighborhood to this day. Living in an unassuming suburban neighborhood, my family and I had always prided ourselves on being good neighbors. However, a new family's arrival next door would test our neighborly bonds in the most nightmarish way imaginable. The Wilcox family, as they introduced themselves, moved into the house next door one gloomy autumn afternoon. Our initial interactions with them were polite, but somewhat unsettling. The family members had an air of cold indifference, and their faces rarely displayed genuine smiles. Nevertheless, we hoped that these first impressions were mere misunderstandings. As weeks passed, it became evident that something was deeply wrong in the Wilcox household. On numerous occasions, I witnessed peculiar occurrences through our shared backyard fence. They practiced strange rituals, often late at night, involving eerie incantations and bizarre symbols drawn on the ground with chalk. A pungent, acrid odor would waft through the air during these rituals, causing nausea and disorientation. What disturbed me most was their uncanny ability to predict future events with unsettling accuracy. They would often share eerie premonitions about events in our lives, as if they possessed an otherworldly insight into our futures. Their predictions would come true with a chilling regularity, filling us with an unsettling sense of dread. As tensions between our families grew, so did the intensity of their malevolent acts. On several occasions, we discovered unsettling talismans, seemingly imbued with dark energy, hidden in our yard. These objects exuded an aura of malevolence and seemed to invite misfortune into our lives. One fateful night, as a storm raged outside, I was jolted awake by a bone-chilling scream. Rushing to my bedroom window, I saw the Wilcox family conducting a sinister ritual in their backyard, surrounded by flickering candles and a swirling vortex of shadows. Their eyes were void of humanity, filled with an insatiable thirst for power. I knew we had to act. I contacted the authorities, who arrived promptly. The confrontation that ensued was something I would never forget. The Wilcox family vehemently denied any wrongdoing, but the evidence of their dark practices was irrefutable. In the end, they were forcibly removed from the neighborhood, and their house remained abandoned. The atmosphere in our community gradually returned to normal, but the scars left by our malevolent neighbors would linger for years. Their eerie predictions and sinister rituals had shaken our faith in the world's inherent goodness, and served as a grim reminder that even in the most ordinary neighborhoods, true horrors can lurk next door, hidden behind the facade of everyday life.